Minecraft Hardcore is a Minecraft mode that is exclusive to the Minecraft Java edition. It's the mode that does not give you the luxury of respawning when you die, and it can be quite hard to survive in. But today, I am going to try and do just that. I have different objectives I want to complete. I want to get full diamond armor, but enchanted. I want to kill the ender dragon, get myself an elytra, and get a dog for you to name. So make sure to give a name for my dog down below. Anyway, let's just get straight on to surviving Minecraft Hardcore for 100 days. So we start this journey off in a spruce forest. I grabbed some berries for food and I was on my way. Going through different biomes, eventually on these grasslands, I found this abandoned nether portal. I went and looted the chest and I actually got myself some good items. I got fire charges, a golden apple, but especially an enchanted gold chestplate for protection. I actually came across another couple of portals with some good things in it, such as gold armor and tools. I then carried on going, but it was beginning to become nighttime. I was getting a bit worried for my safety. The next day, the first proper day on this world, I set some more animals on fire and went through this wet, swampy kind of land. I walked through all these oak trees and that was when I found my first village. I grabbed things like food out of the chests and got all of the hay to make into wheat and get myself some bread. I went to the coast to see what was going on over there and found another portal. This was my fourth one already. While I couldn't get the gold blocks from there because I didn't have the right pickaxe, I did get once again some good loot. I killed some cows to get some beef and the sun started to set, so I made my way back to the village. I did not want to get in the way of any mobs. It was getting extremely dark. I ran past some zombies and headed over to this house. Out of the bed, took it to the top of this tree with no mobs in sight and had a good night's sleep. Starting off the next day by collecting up some crops. I was in desperate need of tools. The only ones I had were a couple of golden pickaxes. After mining a tree, I made myself a chest, chucked all my stuff in there and made an axe. It was now time to go around and get myself a bunch of wood. I now had some materials to work with. I made a pickaxe and went mining, getting cobblestone, but also some coal for torches and cooking in a furnace. I made stone tools, really annoyed these bees for whatever reason, and it was time to get myself a bunch more trees. I went off to go explore. It was time for an adventure. Killing some pigs on the way, I eventually came across another village. Once I went in and started stealing stuff from the chest, I realized that this village was a lot better than the other one. It was bigger, but it also had this lake next to it, which would be a perfect place to build a house. I eventually made my way back to the old village, grabbed all my stuff, and then went back to the new one. Eventually, I got back to this village, went into one of the houses, and kicked a villager out of his bed. Day 4 and 5 were very eventful days. I decided I was going to make this church my temporary home. Going into this very deep dark cave was a very scary moment. After this creeper explosion right in my face, I decided I was going to make myself a shield. I took this iron ore, smelted it, and there it was. I had some protection. I lit the cave up as much as I could with loads of torches and came face to face with 3 creepers. I then decided to stock up on iron until I came face to face with my first mob spawner. I took out the spiders one by one, lit up the mob spawner so no more spawned, and looted the chest. I grabbed a bunch of more iron ore and headed up to the surface. I smelted the iron ore to get myself some iron armor, and while I was waiting, just mined some trees. I knew that iron would take ages and I didn't want to waste any time. I made food with the wheat I got from the hay and made myself full iron armor. I then finished off day 5 by making myself some iron tools. It was time for an upgrade. Day number 8, I replenished the trees after a monstrous day of destroying them, and it was time to do what the first half of the name of the game said: mine. I started my mine and went all the way down until I was met with this ravine, and I kept going and eventually got to level 11 and finished off day number 8 by placing torches in the area so less mobs would spawn. I spent a very long time getting coal from the mine and also nearby caves and lit up the whole area. Now, I was really wanting to build my house. I didn't want to keep living in this church, but this island was in the way, which is why I spent day 10 and 11 completely wiping it out. So now that this annoying little island was gone, it was time for me to build my house. I wanted this house to look very, very cool and a good size. I also wanted it to be mainly made out of logs, which would mean it would take a lot more wood than planks. But I also didn't really have that much wood other than the wood I collected earlier. But it was definitely worth it when I saw the end result. And yeah, let's just go and build the house. And this is what the house eventually looks like. As you probably saw in the time lapse, I did literally cut it in half because I wanted it to be really cozy, and the size I made it was just way too big. But while we did spend all that time building the house, day 26 was spent doing the boring part. I had to transfer all my old items in those chests over to the new house. I headed down the mine with the equipment I had and instantly found some lapis. I mined a bit more and managed to find myself some diamonds. Unfortunately, only one, but I was still happy. I really wanted that diamond armor. I took the charcoal from the furnace and made a bunch of torches. Anyway, I put this outside the mine, headed back down and kept on mining. I got some iron, some lapis, and if you're wondering why I'm blocking off the holes, it's because I didn't want creepers to spawn there. I continued along my strip mine and then I was struck with some more diamonds. I was hoping that it was going to be a vein of 8. I mined around it. Unfortunately, it was only a vein of 5, but that was still good. I mined for quite a while, and that was when I hit a vein of 8 diamonds. I was so excited. I mined all of them and then blocked it off. I started mining a bit more, but to my surprise, literally about 6 blocks later, there was another vein of diamonds. I didn't know what to think. It was another vein of 5. I grabbed the diamonds and continued to mine. I went back up, smelted my gold because it would be perfect for golden apples, and of course crafted myself some. I only got 2 golden apples, but this was a start. I've had some bad experiences in the past with shields breaking, so I crafted myself a new one and used literally this whole day to get wood. I used the next day to fish. I expected maybe a few enchanting books, but literally only got fish, a stick, and a few bowls. I looked up and it began to rain. Going back into my house, I cooked this fish I got from fishing, and I extended my sugarcane farm a bit. I also farmed the current wheat farm I had outside my house because it was looking very full. I flattened out this area to build something here in the future because I didn't know where my next build was actually going to go. This could have been a farm, this could have been a villager house. I had no idea, but I knew I needed some space. The dirt may also be useful as well. I sailed the seas behind my house and started making myself this little platform. At first, I kind of made it into a diamond circle, but then realized it would probably look a lot cooler if it was just a random shape. This was going to be a wheat farm. After a lot of placing of dirt blocks, I filled the whole thing in, and it was beginning to get dark. I crafted some fence posts and began to fence off the island. I lit it up to make sure mobs didn't spawn and put some gates there to make sure I could get in there easier. Ah yes, while you watched this satisfying time lapse, I was having the worst time of my life. It was so annoying trying to get these wheat seeds, place them all, knowing where I was going to put the water to keep them saturated, but also guessing how many seeds I was actually going to need. I was having the worst time. Day 33, I really didn't get much of the farm done. I was going to need a lot more seeds, which is why on day 34 and day 35, I did just that. Day 36, expanding my sugarcane farm a bit more, and of course, getting even more wheat seeds. One long process after another, I made myself quite a few furnaces. I put the furnaces down and continued getting ores. This is when I decided to venture into the ravine. I exploited this ravine for lots and lots of coal, returned to my house, and now I had all this coal to smelt the iron I already had. Now I had been in this same area for nearly 40 days. It was starting to get to my head. I went exploring and found a pink sheep, which is pretty cool, right next to a pig. They looked pretty similar. I then saw this nether portal once again and realized it was the one I already looted. As it got dark, I hopped into this water and swam with these dolphins. They gave me this boost, so I was actually swimming a lot faster than I actually could. I swam around for a bit more, but then began to see some drowns, so it was time for me to head back home. I worked hard for these diamonds. It was time to spend a few. Of course, making myself diamond tools, I now had a new sword, pickaxe, axe, and shovel. Now, upgrading my tools to diamond is cool, but upgrading them even further with an enchanting table is even cooler. But I didn't have obsidian. I went down to the mine, grabbed obsidian, and came straight back up. I made an enchanting table with some diamonds I had left over, and when trying to get onto the roof to watch the sunset go down, I accidentally took out lots of my crops, so I had to go replant them. I mined for a while, not getting anything, and then found myself in this cave. I did actually see a spider spawner. While I didn't want to go in there and break it because there was no point, I did grab the cords just in case I wanted to make a spider farm. I carried on mining, got myself some coal, and then ended up killing a spider and an invisible spider. I don't know how that happened, but it did. I lit up the spawner, killed some spiders, and dumped all of my junk in the chest. I grabbed the name tags for maybe some future pets, got a bit of gunpowder for TNT, and broke some more gold for, of course, golden apples. I continued to mine on day 43, but didn't really find much other than some gold and this underwater ravine. I then ended off this beautiful day in Minecraft by making it look even more beautiful. This mainly consisted of just blocking up creeper holes that I made happen because creepers just hate me for some reason. Now, no home is a proper home without an interior, which is the reason I spent 4 whole days just building the inside of this house. I think it looks good, and I hope you do too. Now, you saw in that I made myself an enchanting table, but just put granite where the books are meant to go because I did not have a single bookshelf ready to put there. So, of course, like anyone, I decided to make a cow farm because I needed leather. I made this little dirt island next to the wheat farm and also got a bunch of wood because I didn't have enough wood for fences. But then the next day realized that it was going to be so much harder to get these cows over here. It would just be so much easier to build it on land, which is what I did. I used that space that I created earlier. I cooked some more meat, destroyed all of these fences because I didn't want them to go to waste, and started placing them around this flat land I made earlier, and got some more wood because I was just short of a few fences. Day 50, now halfway through. I was becoming pretty proud of this world. I finished fencing off this little cow farm that we were going to make, completely farmed the wheat farm outside of my house, but then I also did the same to the one that we made earlier. It did take me all day and it was quite a boring one for the halfway point, but I got a lot of wheat out of it, so I was not complaining. I grabbed some wheat from the chest, probably a bit too much, and then went and got some cows. I saw one straight away, took him back to this new cow farm, and that was it. I had my first cow. I continued going out and actually found a group of cows together. I managed to find 4 cows. I bred 4 of the cows to make another couple of cows, and honestly, I was pretty happy with how the cow farm was looking. I just sorted out all my items into these new chests that I put down when I was doing the interior of my house. The cows were ready to breed again, and we needed to find some more. I saw this wandering trader straight away, and then found some cows right around the corner. And my armor was looking a little bit upsetting. I made my pickaxes, and I really wanted to finally get diamond armor. I started this new mine, didn't really find much, but then that was when I saw the glistening behind this stone block. I found diamonds. This is probably the most weird shaped 8 vein I've ever seen. I carried on mining to see what I could get. I did get things like coal, not the best, but then, of course, with my luck, I found diamonds. I mined them up. There was 6 total, and I now had 14 diamonds. Combined with the diamonds I had at home, things were looking good. I now had 23 diamonds. You're probably thinking, wow, that's a lot of diamonds. Perfect. Well, that's what I thought too. And then whilst making the armor, I remembered that 24 diamonds is the amount you need. I was 1 diamond off. I was so close. I went back down to the mine and continued mining past that cave. I went around the cave, lighting up everywhere I went so mobs didn't spawn behind me. I saw the glow of lava. I thought, hopefully, this must mean diamonds. I went round the corner, and that was it. There were diamonds. I grabbed the diamonds and went straight back up, and I now had full diamond armor. I made a shield because mine was pretty broken, and you know what they say, a happy shield is a happy life. I made myself some gold armor because soon I was going to be venturing out into the Nether. I went to my mine and went to the nearest lava source that I knew from going to get diamonds earlier, and bagged myself 10 obsidian. It was time for me to go to the Nether for the first time. It's safe to say I was very nervous. I hopped in and my spawn actually looked pretty good, and you'll see why it was even better in a second. I explored around a bit and actually got the return to sender advancement. I then wanted to see if I got a gas tier from this. I walked forward and then that was it. The Nether fortress. It was right next to my portal. I found this chest, which didn't have too much good stuff in, and grabbed these nether warts for potions before I fought the ender dragon. I explored further, found another chest, and this chest had 6 diamonds. Anyway, I got the diamonds, got another 2 diamonds from the chest right next to it. I dug up to try and get out of this nether fortress, but then as these blazes started firing fireballs at me, I turned back round. Quickly though, I found this blaze spawner. I blocked off all the exits so no other blazes could come in. I killed this magma and went straight back to my nether portal. When I got back, I bred a bunch of cows. Speaking of cows though, earlier, I actually found 4 cows in this forest nearby. Slowly but surely, I took them back to my cow farm. There was all these animals in the same kind of nearby area, and after walking around with some wheat in my hand, I had this massive pack following me. And eventually by night time, finally got all these cows in my cow farm. I spent the next day fishing, but didn't get too much other than a few fish. But hey, food is food. Day 61, I bred my cows even more, and I chopped down some wood from a forest. I took out loads of the cows, and I made a bunch of bookshelves. It was now time to finally level up my enchanting table. I broke a bunch of the granite blocks, and placed down all of the bookshelves I had. I placed them down, but it didn't quite get to level 30 yet. And now what good is all this tools, armor, without some good enchantments? Not from the enchanting table. It was time to finally make a house to hold some villagers. A stack of Minecraft days later, here we are. It was time to get my first villager into his new home. It took a while to get him to go a block up, but eventually he was now in his new home. I then went and grabbed another one, of course taking quite a lot of time, but we got there. And then I went to get a third, the trifecta of villagers, and then ended up with him finally at my house on day number 65. I noticed that one of the villagers was actually going to give me emeralds for paper, so I went and grabbed all the sugarcane / paper I had, made the paper and sold it to him. I wanted to see how many emeralds this would actually make me. But this was not the best way, I think personally, to get emeralds. I think the best way is with a Fletcher and sticks, the deadly duo. I made a fletching table with some flint and wood I had from earlier, and placed it in the last little hut we had left for our Fletcher friend. Taking Mr. Farmer over to the villager houses on day 66. Eventually he arrived. I went home, grabbed the wood and made it all into sticks. I then sold them to the Fletcher, and I was getting 2 emeralds per stack of sticks. I spent a while on day 67 trying to get one of my villagers mending, but then I saw the beautiful words beginning with M. I had a mending villager, 14 emeralds. I went and grabbed some books from my house, and now I had my first mending book. I sold some more sticks to the Fletcher and got another. I now had 2 mending books. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where I wasted a lot of time. I literally spent day 68, day 69, day 70, and day 71 exploring, trying to find a jungle. I knew this would be a very easy way to get sticks, as I'd be able to make a bamboo farm, but I just wasn't able to find one. Day 72, I ran and boated my way back home, and eventually I made it back. I must say, at this point, I was getting a bit stressed that I wouldn't be able to kill the ender dragon. I spent the rest of the daytime getting wood. Eventually on day 73, I managed to get protection 4 on this villager. I quickly ran. I needed to get these emeralds quickly. I made paper, and then on day 74, expanded on my enchantment table. I built some of the bookshelves a bit closer, and it's safe to say my enchanting table was finally level 30. But then when I returned to the villager, the protection 4 had gone. This was so upsetting. I made myself a new shield and headed back into the nether. I spent the day getting gold. I then traded with these other piglings and actually got myself 4 ender pearls. I still needed some more, but this was a very good start. And while breaking the lectern in the evening, I unfortunately killed our librarian. I sold a bunch of more wheat to get myself some emeralds. I was getting quite a lot. I didn't really want to have to transport villagers again, but of course I wanted protection 4. I decided to just make a bit more room in this little hole, and honestly just break the lectern down here until I eventually got protection 4. Luckily though, I actually had the emeralds with me, and I was able to buy the book straight away so he didn't lose the trade. I enchanted the chestplate to protection 3 and put mending and protection on some of the other armor, ending off the day with chopping down some trees and selling more sticks to the Fletcher. Day 78, I made a brand new diamond axe because mine was looking very, very broken. Being the entrepreneur I am, made some more emeralds and got myself the final protection 4 book I needed. I sorted out my chest, put protection on my helmet, and then the anvil broke. I was going to need to make a new one. The next day, I smacked on my golden boots and went to the Nether. I killed another ghast and got a bunch of gold. It was time to get those ender pearls. I took all this gold and actually found a group of piglins together where they could just share out the gold. This was very fortunate for me. I got 3 ender pearls, then another 4 ender pearls, and then by the time all the trading was done, had 13 ender pearls. 17 total if you include the ones I had at home. I made another anvil, put mending on my armor, and my armor was ready for the end fight. And then finished off the day by making this bow ready to be enchanted. I gave some more bread to these villagers to try and get them to breed, and I broke these spare bookshelves that I didn't need to make some more lecterns and try and get infinity on this villager underground. I sat breaking it for ages, and eventually that was it. I got infinity. I'd only need 1 arrow to go into the end dragon fight. While trying to get some more emeralds, this creeper snuck up behind me and blew up the fences, letting out the Fletcher. I had to quickly chase him and just trap him behind the house with some logs. I then bought the infinity book and finished the day by turning this average normal bow into an infinity bow. Day 82 to 84, we got a lot done, and they were honestly just days of preparation for the end fight. I started off by getting a bunch of wheat, selling it to our farmer, and then realized that the villagers actually did have a baby. I placed the lectern down, got a bunch of wood, and then placed and broke the lectern constantly to try and get power 3 for my bow, and then eventually I was able to get it. I then headed to the Nether and headed back to this Nether fortress. I only had a couple of blaze rods and I needed quite a few more. It was very scary fighting all these blazes, but luckily with that shield I just fixed up, I was able to just take them out pretty easily, making them into blaze power. I got myself 17 eyes of ender. It was then time to make potions. I put down the brewing stand, made myself some glass bottles, and got a bunch of potions. I started off by making 6 slow falling potions and putting redstone in all of them to make them last a lot longer. And I was putting all this stuff I needed for the end in this chest so I could know where all of it was. I made regeneration potions, strength potions. I headed to the Nether once again and got lots of gold. I did this because I wanted some more golden apples. I only had 4, and I know that is quite a lot, but there's a good chance I was going to need more. I also got a lot of quartz here to level myself up. I made a couple more golden apples. I enchanted the first sword and it was looking good. It had sharpness 4 and breaking 3, but that wasn't it. I made a couple more swords, enchanted those both to level 30 and managed to combine them to get the ultimate sword. I made a brand new shield just to ensure that mine wouldn't break halfway through the fight. Prepared myself by grabbing everything, sorting it out in my inventory, and it was time to go. Day 87, the day to begin the journey on the Ender Dragon fight. I threw the first live ender, unfortunately it broke midair, and I began my journey. Throwing it multiple times, I ran through multiple different biomes, and it was beginning to become nighttime, but that was not going to stop me. I got to the top of this mountain, and that was when I threw this pearl, and it went behind me. The end was near. I threw it a bunch of different times around the same spot, so I would know exactly where to go, and went straight down. That was when I was led to the exact coordinates of the portal, and ladies and gentlemen, I was in. I blocked off the lava, leaving it a bit open for some light, blocked off the entrances, and it was time to go. I began to put in the pearls one by one. I ate some food, drank a slow falling potion, and that was it. I was in. I began to bridge quickly. I did not want to get knocked off by an enderman. I was a bit worried, I won't lie. I drank a strength potion and instantly went to take out the obsidian pillars with the end crystals on top. I began shooting this one and went straight for some others. I did manage to take the ones with the cages around fairly quickly. Things were looking good. The dragon sitting menacingly in the middle. I managed to quite easily take out another 2 end crystals one by one. Dragon breath trailing behind me, and made my way up to another obsidian pillar. That was when I noticed that there was an end crystal right next to me. I went for the shot, missed, but then I went for another shot, and the ender dragon threw straight in front of it. I managed to take some damage off him and take out the end crystal. I ate a golden apple, continued making my way up, and took out this end crystal, but luckily I was very high up and I was able to take out the last 2 end crystals. I drank another slow falling potion to make sure I don't take full damage. She flew down, I took some more shots, and as she came up, I was able to take a lot of damage with my arrows. After taking a few more shots though, the ender dragon came down to the middle, but I was covered in dragon's breath. I made my way down and continued to spray it with arrows. It came to the middle and this was it. One by one, hitting the dragon constantly. Things were looking great. I thought I was about to take it out, but then that was when it flew away. It was one shot from anything. It was so close to being dead. That was when I decided to take the leap of faith. I built up. I wanted to go out in style. I didn't want to just hit him and that would be it. I towered up despite getting shot at by dragon breath, put some water down for my safety, and it was time to go. I jumped off, did a bit of a 360, and that was it. I shot the ender dragon. It was dead. That was the final hit I needed. I had defeated the ender dragon. I did not think this was going to happen in this 100 days. I took the ender dragon out. The XP began to fall, and I was so happy. I grabbed all the XP, and it got me to level 67. But that was not all. I noticed the portal to go to another area in the end. It was right there. I thought there's no point in carrying on this world without getting an elytra first. I built around it to make sure I didn't fall off, drank some slow falling, grabbed an ender pearl and went straight in. It was time to find an elytra. Off the bat, I quickly saw this end city, but it was a mini one, not having a boat. That was what I was looking for. I carried on going and actually had to bridge across. This was a very scary moment. I killed some endermen to make sure I had a couple of ender pearls. I got closer, but then it became quite apparent that there was no pirate ship in sight. I decided I wasn't going to loot it because I was running out of time. I wanted to go get an elytra. But then I carried on walking past this end city, looked straight behind me and saw a silhouette of a pirate ship. I cannot explain to you the chills that were going through my body. That was it. There was the pirate ship. All I had to do was now go to the end city. Quickly placing water and blocks 24/7, I bridged across and I was on the island. I took out the first few shulkers, but then floating my way up, had this room just filled with shulkers. I grabbed the loot from this chest and then took out the shulkers on the pirate ship. Placing blocks one by one, I eventually made it to the pirate ship. I broke in, hit this shulker a few times, it teleported and I grabbed the elytra. I was so happy. I was so excited. This would allow me to do so many things in this hardcore world. I was so happy with my elytra. I grabbed the loot from the chests, grabbed the instant health potions. I also grabbed the dragon head. I thought it'd be a great display piece in my world. I then took the leap. I was so nervous to jump off, even knowing that I had the elytra, but I did it. I was now flying. I had the ability of flight. I headed back down to the surface, went in the direction of that other end city I saw earlier because I knew there was a teleporter there. I grabbed some blocks, built up, and ender pearled in. I don't know why I didn't just flying, but I ender pearled in. Probably the safer option. Going back into the end, I realized I didn't actually grab the dragon egg. I took a torch, hit the dragon egg, and then went and grabbed it. I was so happy. That was it. I hopped in the nether portal and the credits began to roll in. I was then safe and sound in my house. I put down a chest, chucked all of my end loot in there, and I made myself some fireworks. I flew around for a bit and I just felt on top of the world. I grabbed a mending book for my elytra, put it on, and then I went to name the elytra, but I couldn't think of one, and that's where you come in. Please make sure to comment a name for this elytra, and I will make sure to change the name of it in 200 days. I then kind of tried this upside down stairs look on the thing, but then broke it because it looked pretty hideous in my opinion. I brought a farmer over to the houses so I'd easily be able to trade wheat whenever I needed. And then also spent the night time on day 94 killing creepers. Day 95, it was almost day 100. I fixed up the area a bit and planted some seeds in the village to make it look a bit nicer. Day 96, I made a bunch of flight duration 2 fireworks with the gunpowder I got from killing the creepers earlier and went flying around in the nether for a bit. It was then time to display my victory. I made all these quartz blocks and spent the rest of the day terraforming this area, ready to make this little build to display all of my victories in this 100 days world. And that was it, day 99. But we were not finished. We still had one goal left. We needed to get ourselves a pet. I flew around constantly looking for dogs and pets, and that was when I found this group of dogs. I used all the bones I had, got one by one, and managed to grab myself 3 pet dogs. I then flew back home, and I was extremely lucky. I was very low to the ground when my elytra broke. I then broke some redstone and coal to fix it up, but realized that I lost my dogs. So day 100, the final day of this 100-day journey. I spent the whole day flying around looking for dogs. I decided I had to make the decision to find a new dog. That was when I saw this dog. This dog was attacking the skeletons that I was killing. This was the dog for me. I gave him the bones and I now had a dog. I did try to make my way home, but unfortunately I couldn't find it. I just had to settle for this random mountain, sat my dog down, and watched the sunset. Ready for day number 101.